You've seen enough of these, my brother. You know my rules here. This is a cipher. I do not introduce MCs, MC myself. I only have 3 questions for my guest. Who you is, where you from, and what you represent. Word player. 1 second. I think you're on mute.
How about now? Better?
Bang, bang.
Okay, cool. What's up? Peace. It's your boy Folex. I'm representing Justice System. We straight out of New York. Now I'm in the 305. I do it live all day, every day. As you can see right here, we got. You know who that is. If you don't know who that is,
Donna's right there, the fucking leader right there, baby.
Right. That's what the 305 is all about. It's all about that hard work, putting it in. You know what I'm saying? So we out here. It's great to be on the show. You know, I can say a lot, but I just want to first I'll say peace and thank you. Blessings to you. You know, what you're doing is amazing. None of these things that people are doing today, people aren't getting paid for this stuff. You do it because you love it. You try to get a little ad money, try to get a little sponsorships, right? And we're all doing this because we love this culture and we have to move it forward. And we dictate the culture, not the industry.
Yes.
So I would tell you once again, H, thank you so much for having us on. We appreciate it. And Jahbaz, are you there? Can you are you Mr. Fox in the building?
Look at Mr.
Yeah, Mr. Fox. Mr. Fox is in the building. What's up, man?
Yo, I got 3 questions for you, brother. Who you is, where you from, and what you rep. Word player.
Word. All right, yo, it's DJ Jahbaz from the Justice System. You know what I'm saying? From New York. But right now, I'm repping the Bay Area, Northern California. That's what's up.
Oh shit, okay, bomb. So yo, you guys got the fucking hella triangle going, man. From fucking the northeast coast down to the southeast coast over to the freaking southwest. Yo, bomb, locking shit down. How you guys doing? We got Justice System in the motherfucking building. Thank you guys for joining us today, man.
Word.
Yo. You're fucking the Fox mask has got me tripping, man. I was not expecting
Fox, baby.
Mr. Fox in the building. I have the question later on, man, but I guess I'll start off as I do so many guests. Shakespeare wrote, "What is in a name? Would a rose not be a rose by any other name?" But nah, man, Folex and fucking Jahbaz would not be what you guys are without what you guys have built for your reputation and for an MC building their name, man, is something from you that comes from freaking earning stripes, man, from putting in the work. Can you guys tell the people at home where the names Folex and DJ Jahbaz came from? And then after that, we're gonna go into the aliases.
Okay, cool. I'll start. Folex. So my government is Foley, right? So yeah, that's my real that's my last name, like Axel Foley.
Like Axel Foley?
Yeah.
Yo, I grew up fucking watching fucking Beverly Hills Cop, man.
So we grew up in a place called Hartsdale, New York, which is part of the town of Greenburgh, which is right next to White Plains. It's a suburb of New York City. It's about 25 minutes north of the Bronx. And where we went to school, we were one of the integrated school systems from the late 60s, early 70s, busing integrations. And so we grew up in a very mixed society, right? Like it was probably, and this is going to sound crazy to people down here, but it was probably 45% African-American, 45% white, and then 5% Asian, and 3% Latino, and 2% something else. Like
I know a Puerto Rican.
Yeah, I dated her.
I dated the one Puerto Rican.
I did. So like, you know, that was it. But you know, so we grew up in a place that was culturally diverse, and everybody just used to call me Foley. That was just like, that was how people knew me.
Okay.
But one of my boys on the football team, my boy JDL, he came up to me one day and he was like, "Yo, man, yeah, everybody be calling you Foley. It's not fly no more." And I was like, okay. And he's like, "You Folex," and I was like, "There it is."
Bomb,
and,
yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
And we didn't talk about it after that. And then all of a sudden, that's the name that stuck. So when Jahbaz and I connected, and it, like in '89, it was like MC Folex, but then it just became Folex, and we just kept it as that. So that's the origins of the Folex.
The origins of Folex. Thank you, JDL, man. Yo, we gotta thank the brothers that bless us with a little seed. They're like, yeah, I'm gonna rock with that. Jahbaz, man, how did you come up with the name DJ Jahbaz, or was it first MC Jahbaz? How did you adorn yourself with your moniker, bro?
Right. So yeah, picking up where Folex left off, our school district was like mad. It was kind of like a fantasy world that may never exist on this planet again, unfortunately. Like, we grew up, and like a lot of African-American Black entertainers, famous jazz musicians, actors, actresses, they lived in our community. Like, we'd see them at the stores. We'd see them out. Cab Calloway came to our middle school and gave presentations. The R&B band Atlantic Star all went to our high school. They would come back. We would have assemblies. We'd have an hour-long concert. You know what I mean?
With Atlantic Star playing?
Yeah.
Multiple times at our high school, be like, "Oh yeah, school was cool today, Ma. Yeah, we blah blah blah." Had lunch, and then Atlantic Star played, and we all bugged the fuck out. And so it was mad diverse. I played soccer too. So like, I was playing white kid, whatever, in a Jamaican summer league. You know what I mean? Playing with the yardies and shit. And because I was nice with it. And on a regular high school team, we had, kids from Mexico, Central America, kids from Palestine, kids of, Jewish Israeli background, kids from Japan. I mean, the yardie, we had a mad, international, UN of like soccer teams and shit. So we were exposed to a lot of cultures, a lot of cultural things that most people in this country, regardless of your background, are not exposed to. And this was every day. So for me, Jahbaz, without getting into my government name, my first name starts with a J.
Foxes
my
don't
middle name
have
starts with a
government
B.
names.
Basically the J and the H and the B and the A, that's all in my, first name, middle name, and last name. But it was really the introduction, friends and whatever, people who were Rastas or studied Rastafarianism or upheld Rastafarianism, people who upheld like the 5% nation, the gods on the earth, you know what I mean? Like the idea, and even some like people who were researching esoteric Christian stuff, the idea of God and man, like we have the power of God in all of us. So Jahbaz, J-A-H, God, Baz, just a, sort of a universal sort of last part of a name. So Jahbaz, that was it. And
yo, a couple of questions came up in my head while you were talking. Question one: when a Fox plays soccer, does it count kicking it with your forepaws, or are those considered hands? Do you get penalized for that? Because if
that's
not,
a great question. That's a great. Yeah, no, it's no penalty. No penalty. So long as they're on the floor.
Now I can see why you were fucking kicking ass, yo, with all the international players, man. Cheers. It is a fantastic thing you guys are describing, a hodgepodge community of people brought on by school integration and different programs bringing kids from other countries in, and because of it, being exposed to different cultures. And something that you said, Jahbaz, is true. A lot of people in this country aren't exposed to it that way. For me, as a Hispanic, right, during the whole Black Lives Matter protest movements in the past 5 years, right? A lot of Cubans hold a point of view of, oh, but why are they looting? Why this? And they tend to lean towards the, oh no, it's unlawful, and they don't see the side of it of people are standing up, man.
That's right.
You oppress people long enough, and they are going to stand up, and it's not only going to be with words. There's going to be ramifications, right? And what I had to sit back and understand is they haven't been exposed to it like I have through hip hop, because hip hop for a lot of us, was our integrated school, was our community where we got to share in different cultures and get a view into different things. It was the only way that I knew about Islam or 5%erism, or later on Zen Taoism and Hinduism, a lot of different things, a lot of different knowledge that you gain from hip hop and learning about that culture that it brings it to us. Through hip hop, you guys were joined up. How far back do you guys go? Because you were talking about '89 joining, building with Jahbaz in a first rap group. How far do you guys go back?
Well,
kids,
man. We've known each other since we're probably like 8 and 9 years old. 7 and 8, 9, and you know, our careers, like from a performance standpoint and from a music standpoint, we started on different paths. Jahbaz was, you know, he's been rhyming since he's like 12 years old, 13, 14 years old. And he's got a great story of going down to the big Cadillac dealer in, was it Mount Vernon or Fordham?
No, Fordham Road.
Fordham Road, yeah. Dick Gidron, right?
Dick Gidron, Fordham Road, so the BX80.
There was a big Cadillac dealer called Dick Gidron Cadillac in New York, and like all the players, like if you bought a Cadillac, you went there because they knew how to hook it up, right? And this is like mid '80s, and
12 years old, B.
Jahbaz was on a basketball team, and the coach, like he knew some people in the music industry, right? Okay. And there's another brother who, Flash, right? Who, Flash Grant from, what's the name of the group? Future Sound, right?
Okay.
So Future Sound goes on to get a deal back in 91 or 92, and they were managed by Dame Dash. Okay, so word? Yeah, so like we'll get into that in a sec. But Jahbaz and Flash are on this basketball team, and the coach says, "Yo, I want you to come down on this day, and you're gonna rap for the Fat Boys."
Mark Morales.
For Prince Marky D.
Get the fuck out.
So
like 12 years old. 12 years old. I was rhyming. Yo, rhyming was my shit. That was like, I couldn't dance. I couldn't do graffiti. I just don't write well. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to get tables. I hadn't saved enough money, but I could rhyme. So I was at lunchtime. I was that dude who was rhyming, who got other people's money, their leftover food, whatever. And then that just led to battling, linked up with Flash, you know what I mean? And we were nice with it. And like, yo, we were kids. We were like 12, 13, going down to the Bronx after school to meet with fucking, you know, meet with the Fat Boys.
At 12, I'm here in Miami bumping the Fat Boys on tape. Right now, just so you guys know, right now, my best friend since I was 8 years old, that I grew up with, my oldest friend, is in the chat room right now. So when you guys said, he goes by Nuclear Saigon, Danny, say what up, man. Yo, when you guys said 9 to 7, I'm here like, bro, that's me and Danny right there. And at 12, I was listening to Fat Boys on tape. You're going over there to rap for him at a freaking Cadillac dealer. Please tell me you fucking rap so good that you walked away with the Cadillac for your coach.
Nah. But it started, and people in our high school knew. And that's the other thing. Our high school was 7 to 12.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And not that many kids were brave enough to rhyme, you know, because if you were whack, you would get fucking played.
Yeah.
So I was brave enough to rhyme. And, you know, I lost a couple battles early days, but I got better. Flash got better. Anyway, long story short, I started out rhyming. By the time I was 16, I saved enough to get my own turntables. They weren't 1200s, but, you know, but they had the right belt so I could, you know, bring it back and I could scratch and make my own tape. So I've been doing this. And Tom, yo, he, without getting too far into the weeds, yo, he had his own record company with his boys at 14 putting out their own records straight up.
So, yeah, we started in the rock. We started in the rock and roll. You know, I was a drummer since the time I was 10 years old.
What the fuck?
And you know, we started playing in, you know, just little talent shows or whatever, and that turned into more of the hardcore New York hardcore punk scene that was going on
at the same time that the rap scene,
that hip hop, right? Yeah. So like you have all this street culture, right? And you have this great art. You have graffiti, you have Keith Haring, you have Jean-Michel Basquiat, you have Andy Warhol, you have, you know, Africa Bambaataa and Jazzy J coming downtown to Soho to play hip hop in these places. You have the New York City Breakers, and you have
everybody, you know,
right? Making Rocksteady, making Burger King commercials, right? Like all these things are happening at the same time, and we're in the mix of this. So like, me and a couple guys started a band. That band went away. I started another band with somebody else, and that turned into this group Inside Out. And we were like 14 years old. We played our first show at a club that I wasn't old enough to get into. And we rocked the house. We played with a big band named Leeway. That was our first show. And then we went on to play with like major acts like Killing Time and Sick of It All and Super Touch and all these great New York hardcore bands. And that
same
was like,
circle that the Beastie Boys, kind of like same circle that the Beastie Boys had come out of, but
Beastie Boys,
Folex,
Moby, like a lot of cats came from hardcore and then kind of moved into hip hop or dance or EDM. You know, like it was a skateboard culture as well, right? So like all those things were happening simultaneously, but every day I went to school, like I was still listening to my boy Jazzy put me on in 86 and give me this Rakim tape. And he was like, I want you to listen to this. And I listened. He was like, what did you think? And like back then everybody was like, yo, if the beat is dope, it's a dope record. And I was like, well, the beats are different. But I was like, he was like, but listen to the lyrics. And I went home and I studied it. And I was like, yo, what is this dude talking about? Like, I don't even know what these
Freezing
things
your dome,
are.
making your eyeballs swell. Come on, man.
Right?
Yo,
triple stage darkness.
Triple stage dark. Come on, man.
Right. So you have all of this happening simultaneously, and we're in this mix, in this utopian school system where we get to have the best of all of these worlds together. And it really shaped kind of who we are and where we got to. And by the time, you know, high school was ending, right, Jahbaz had his kind of solo career doing his thing. I was in this band, and then we just kind of linked up. He came to one of our shows, and we broke down this one song called Stop the Violence. We used to have this song called Stop the Violence. At the same time, KRS and Boogie Down Productions had a song called Stop the Violence. And it was about, because the hardcore shows were really violent then. And like kids would get really fucked up. Like
slam dancing and fucking,
yeah, like it starts off as fun, but then somebody gets a little bit too aggravated and punches somebody or kicks somebody, and then it becomes all out war.
Mm-hmm.
And
you get stomped down. When I was growing up, the punk clubs and freaking, or going out to a metal club, dog, you were fucking going out there swinging, man. And the other day I went to a Tyler the Creator show out here that he had freaking in Miami, and my stepson bought me freaking floor tickets for my birthday. And my 45-year-old ass was in the pit with all these fucking teenagers going crazy, fucking. My knees are giving way. But I'm looking at them and laughing because I'm here like they think that they're moshing and stuff. And they're just jumping into each other like fucking.
Right.
If it's like it's a fucking bounce house, I'm like, man, back in the days, that shit was going through fucking punching, freaking people leaving there bleeding and smiling and shit. I'm like, yo, fucking stand far away.
If I could just add one little thing, I guess what we're getting at is there's a lot of similarities and a lot of respect in the subcultures of hip hop in that 86 to 89 time period and the hardcore punk underground scene that Folex was part of, in that like it was independent labels mostly, almost all independent labels. You know, for hip hop you had like Next Plateau, Prism Records, you know what I mean, B-Boy Records, all those, you know, Tommy Boy, independent records, Idlers, Warlock for the Jungle Brothers, right? That's where hip hop came from. You know what I mean? In terms of like breaking into the, you know, mix. Even Profile was kind of like a big independent in some way. And then hardcore was the same thing for Tom. Folex, his whole crew, right? And it was like, they did their own shit on independent. So no compromising your art, just doing your thing, making your own, artwork, selling your stuff yourself, kind of like Too Short did out here. It's at the back of his trunk, his tapes, like a lot of respect. Like, yo, we don't need anything from anybody. This is our art. This is our culture. This is what we do. And so because of that, at the same time where we grew up, like hip hop was just everywhere, Red Alert and Chuck Chill Out on the weekends. So it's like, we were like destined to get together on this level with Folex and me and the rest of the crew.
Let me ask you a question, because you guys are doing this in high school, and Folex is in a band. You're in a rap group. I can't imagine you guys are the only two talented people there. I mean, what were your talent shows like and competitions and shit? That shit must have been fucking crazy. Not only that, but what did you guys have? Because being 30, 45 minutes north of the city, right? You're not in the city with its encapsulated audience, right? And people that are listening. You're little, but in your school, did you guys have a fan base, a following that was giving you that early taste of, yeah, man, people are digging the music? And talk a little bit about that.
I think, I mean, for us, it was just more like, our friends came to our shows.
Okay.
Right? Like, it was like, oh, you do something cool, I'll check it out. But there were like, we had in my grade alone, we had another group, Mad Chemistry. We had
three different flavors.
We had Juice Head. We had Cousin Large. We had like, there was like independent, like these guys we were all doing the same thing, just a little bit differently, but all working that independent route, trying to get shows in the city, trying to get your name out there. We were lucky enough to have like a few friends that had internships at a record label, or worked a summer promotions for a radio station, or got a DJ gig at a local college and got a midnight show to play hip hop. Like, so it was really like everybody was for everybody.
Okay.
So there wasn't
because
like
nobody was making money. It wasn't like no one was making money.
It was just about like, yo,
yeah, exactly.
And if you're dope, and I will say this, Folex is leaving out that the chicks that he really liked, the Puerto Rican chick, like when he did his shows, when he got his props, she definitely was like, yeah, she was definitely making it known to him that she liked what he was doing. And same thing with me. I will not name drop, but there's an actress who's been in some dope ass films, and she's fine as hell, and she was 2 years older than me. I was like 15. She was like turning 18. And let's just say I had a little performance at high school that kind of rock shit. And next thing you know,
Mr. Fox is J-Lo's first freaking love. Let me ask you guys. From there, you guys joined together and form what Folex described to me as the Roots Meet Public Enemy, a jazz, social, political, hip hop force called Justice System. Can you guys tell us, because it's not only you two, you guys are here as representatives of the group and pushing the new album that you guys just dropped, Quantum Field Crew.
Yep, that's it.
Quantum Field Crew.
I always got to make sure. I'm here like I've mistyped it. Quantum Force Crew, Quantum Field Cycle. Yo, fucking, I'm here like I know it's QFC. God damn it. Yo, and that is not Quebec fried chicken. Kahim has clarified for us. But you guys are part of a bigger collective of a full band, and we just played a bunch of your joints, man, from your first album to your Mobilization album. All fantastic. Even the stuff on the new album, it all sounds musical foundation, man. The samples that you guys choose, everything is all musically based, man. Tell us a little bit about the forming of that band and how you guys met together and said, yeah, let's do a run for this.
You want to go, Fox, or you want me to run this?
Yeah. I'll do it real short.
Okay.
Like I said, we grew up together. We known each other since second, third grade, man. You know what I mean? Like that's same school district for all 6 of us. Since I was born and raised in Mount Vernon, and then I moved up there like when I was like 7 or 8 or whatever. But since then, we were all there, all 6 of us. It was like boom, like do your thing. They knew I rhymed and I DJ'd. Everyone knew that these kids were nice with the saxophone. They played in the jazz band. They played hardcore. They could play other stuff, but we all listened to hip hop. It had to be. So it just came together like that. And it was always about originality. Like these things that the hardcore punk scene did and the hip hop scene, got to have style, learn to be original, or everybody's going to want to diss you, right? KRS-One. So boom, we were original. We're like, yo, let's do live music influenced by jazz, influenced by rock, hard shit, whatever. I'm scratching, I'm rhyming, you know what I mean? And by that time, 1990, we're hanging out in the city all the time. We're going to clubs like 3 nights a week. I had a little internship at the Source magazine for like 5 months. And like that got us into some KRS-One shows and got to meet Chris and all these other cats. I got to meet Fife back then. We'd be chilling, and all these cats when they wanted to come up. And it was like, this is what we're meant to do. And we just got to do what we do, who we are, not be anybody else. So that jazz influence, the musicianship, the writing, like that was a way to be original, do our own thing. And then over time, right, you hear it, we would add program beats, we would add samples, I'd be scratching and shit, add that to it. And then over time, we got even nicer. Tom with the Folex with the MPC. I keep outing your government.
That's all right. Everybody knows.
Yeah. Yeah, you threw his government. You only gave us like the first 2 letters of yours and shit, but you're throwing his all around. It's a J and a B. You gotta guess the rest.
But anyway, so like that's the short answer, right? It's just like, yo, musicianship, great, like, because we love all music. Like, yo, we love Earth, Wind and Fire, Stevie Wonder. We love John Coltrane. We love Tribe, Gangstar, BDP. Like, oh man, Digging in the Crates, Diamond, Beatnuts forever, man. Large Professor, like Pete Rock. I mean, that's just what we grew up with, and like it's incredible creativity and inspiration made us work harder. So that's what we do.
The other day we went, me and my wife went out for a date night right before the Dade County Youth Fair closed over here, and the Dade County Youth Fair isn't what it used to be, man. They don't have enough rides. I think they had another accident, so nobody's riding anything. But what they did have were these cool kiosks with live musicians on them, and they had this band there, young kids, freaking high school, maybe college kids, maybe just starting college, and but all they were doing were covers of other people. Like they did a cover of Action Bronson and Chance the Rapper. Why you gotta do me like that? But with the band playing and stuff, and they had their trumpet players, their sax player, and it was dope, man. And then the 2 MCs, they just did their verse on it and stuff. But when you guys started off as a band, did you guys start off doing covers of other people's tracks, or were you guys just let's do our own original stuff from the get?
Yeah. So what kind of happened was, we were a lot of the guys in the band, we were already playing and playing in this punk stuff and doing hardcore, and we wrote all our own material. So like we would play other songs like in rehearsal because it's fun, but we knew like if you were going to be a band and you were going to try to get in, right, that the moment we did a cover song, we would be labeled a cover band, and that would end our careers, right? And neither Jahbaz nor I, Jahbaz can sing better than I can, but neither him nor I are singers, right? Like we can't play 40 songs in a night at a bar, right? And sing those records, like, and nor do we want to. So I think there was definitely like, we were like, okay, we're going to make records that we want to hear, right? Based on the influences of our favorite people. And when we started, it was hard. It was difficult to do, because it hadn't been done this way before. If you go back and you think about Sugar Hill Gang, right? Like that was a band that played that record.
Yeah.
In the Curtis Blow records, there was a band in the studio that was playing those records, bass player, guitar player, right?
Orange Crush.
because they're Run DMC, Eddie Martinez,
Rakim's
the guy,
oldest brother.
Yeah,
oldest brother was in that band.
Orange Crush?
Rakim's oldest brother.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, I didn't know about this shit.
The guy who co-produced our first album, Eddie Martinez played guitar on the King of Rock record for Run DMC. Man. So he played Rockbox, he played King of Rock. Like, so musicians have always been around hip hop, but right at that time, there was no live bands, period. And people didn't know how to, clubs had changed. So it was like DJ, right? Or DAT tape. And you showed up, and most people showed up with a DAT tape, and they weren't ready for a band. So we, even like in our earliest shows, playing in these different settings that weren't necessarily made for a band, we were like taping microphones to like chairs to get the drums set up right, and they didn't have enough inputs on the boards. Like, it was crazy.
It was challenging.
But we were doing that at a time when it was different. Like, there wasn't anybody else really in New York that was playing at the level that we were playing, doing what we were doing, and being original with it. So let me ask.
And hold on. He left out the most important thing.
Go ahead.
But we battled Big L with a live band, and we were like neck and neck with him at a Zulu Nation talent show.
Oh shit!
So when we did that, and he got signed, and Big L got signed to Columbia, Sony, out of that talent show, that Zulu Nation talent show, and we came in second place. He got first, we came in second. But that was the night where everyone in New York, like, who came out and people know and talked about it, like, yo, Justice System, you can do live hip hop with a live band. And the Roots, unbeknownst to us, that's what they were doing over in England and Philly at the same time from that point there.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask, man, because, of course, and I'm doing my math, on more is like 94, 95, right?
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And so Organics would have been right before that, but we didn't know about, did you guys know about the Roots? We didn't hear about the Roots until we got Proceed and Do You Want More? That's when we started. And then when we heard that, they're like, oh shit, there's a live band that's doing it. But what was it like for you guys that have already been rocking in the city? You guys dropped Sounds of the Rooftop in what, 92, 93?
94.
94.
So everything happened in 94 is like such an amazing year. I mean, there's so many records that came out that year, but the irony of all of that is the Root signed with Geffen, which was on the 7th floor, Jahbaz?
Yeah, 7th floor.
And we signed to MCA, and we were on the 6th floor. And they were both on Universal.
Get the fuck out of here.
And, neither label really understood how to process what either one of us were doing at the time. But they were the biggest group coming out of Philly, like in 92, 93. And around that same time, like we would headline a club in New York, and we started off playing those Tuesday night at midnight shows, and we would bring 20 people. By the time we got a Thursday at 10 o'clock show, we have 250 people that we didn't know in the crowd.
Wow.
And it was a different, it's hard to explain, to put into some perspective, but the scenes in New York during that time. So, it's post Dinkins, it's the beginning of the Giuliani administration, before New York got locked down, really. Right? So you still had a lot of venues. You had a lot of places for live music, and there'd be times where we would walk in a club and it would be one crowd of like, what we would call hipsters today, right? And then that audience would stay we would get there at 8 o'clock, and our set would be 10 o'clock. So that first band would play at 8 o'clock. Then the 9 o'clock band, their crowd would come. Then 10 o'clock, we'd play, our crowd would come. And you'd have this, potpourri of audience that you got to showcase for every time you played a show. And if you rocked it, it didn't matter what kind of music it was, because everybody in New York at that time was vying for the same thing, a record deal, right? And it was about, can you bring people? Can you hold a crowd? Can you rock a crowd? And can you deliver good songs that people come back for? So as we played all the various clubs, we just took people from every audience and brought them along for the ride. So by the time, 93 came and we were playing out almost like every other week at that point, there was a period of, we were playing a couple of different places every other week. Those crowds, we didn't know the crowd anymore.
But they knew us. But
they knew us, right? Out. And it was an amazing time in New York City, just because the amount of good music that was happening was those couple of years, like every band got signed, because people were just creating. The neo soul came out of that, like the forefathers of that were like the Coolies Hotbox and the Monets, Special Request, Groove Collective, and these parties like Frankie Jackson's Soul Kitchen, and listen, the history is a lot. It's more than we'll probably have to write a book one day.
We're here for it, brother.
But we would see on a weekly basis. We'd see Pharaoh out at Soul Kitchen. We would see, we'd see Tip, and we'd see Jerobi at Daddy's House, or Red Zone, or Red Parrot, right? We'd see, the cats, because the MCs and the DJs and the producers, the cats who we were looking up to, who were inspiring us the most, 9 times out of 10, they'd be chilling at the clubs too. I remember standing, waiting for Folex to meet me up at the Palladium in New York, and I'm just chilling. I'm standing at this sweet spot, and who stands next to me out of nowhere? Lord Finesse. He just rolled up, and he's standing next to me. Now, I said, "What's up? Give him a pound." I think we'd seen each other, Tom, right, at Jazzy J's studio, maybe with Finesse, and we knew the whole DITC. We with Diamond, and we'd see Diamond. We met Diamond up there, so it was no big thing. But the reality was, it was all around, all the time. You would see Buster. You would see this. That's what New York was like then, man. It was you were artists, you were doing your thing, but you weren't so far away that you couldn't relate to people.
Everybody was in the city, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that was it. Vibing. That was it.
So you guys get signed. You dropped the album. It is a fantastic, just jazz hip hop album. Were you playing drums for the band at that time, Folex?
No, I only played drums on one song, the Summer in the City Sunshine Blend remix on that album. But Eric G, here's a good time to just say who's in the band. So it's Jahbaz and Folex on vocals, DJ Jahbaz on scratches. There's also another vocalist who came later on. That's Sugar Diesel, aka Worldwide, aka Castadero. That's another dude that we went to school with. He was a year younger than us, and he had his own little run prior to Justice System and then post Justice System, and he's still a part of Justice System. So, then you have Mo Better Al. Sax. He's the sax and keys player. We knew each other growing up as well. Then there's Kaz Boogie on bass. He's kind of the musical director of the band. He's the guy that laid down a lot of the funkiest stuff that we ever did. And it really, between Kaz and Mo Better Al's keys and sax with Kaz's bass, and the two of them being amazing musicians, they can all play multiple instruments. They kind of created and helped cultivate that Justice sound, right? And Jahbaz's influence on that, with Eric G playing drums, it was let's take a break beat and dissect it and then flip it and then play it live back and then put a really fat bass line that nobody ever heard before, and then give them something that's familiar, like that Rhodes piano from the 70s from Steely Dan, or that guitar that Wizard C would play that was like Curtis Mayfield, right? Like let's put those elements together. And we were very, like, when we would write a song, it would be really, you know, we were prescriptive at times. Like, yo, I heard this record, I want to do something like this. And then we would jam it and jam it and jam it. And then it would morph into this thing that was ours. And yo, you want to test it? You go to the club, you play it for the audience, you tell them, yo, if you're feeling this, let us know. And if you're not, that's cool too, because we won't play it again.
And just so you guys know, and I do apologize, because we're 3 people on the Zoom call, it gives us a 45-minute window. When it cuts us off, I'm gonna play a track of your guys while we wait. You guys just hit that invite again. I'll bring you right back in. All right.
Okay. No doubt.
All right. Cool.
How many tracks made the album that you guys tested on the crowd like that?
Oh, that was 100%. 100%. Like, and there were joints. Listen, there are joints that we have in that never came out on a record, but like that are dope, right? So like we got treats, but just for whatever reason, we just didn't think like it was the right song at the right time. Okay. But every song was crowd tested. Every song.
Yo, it's an album that you guys ran through the people, not just force fed the people. It was fueled by a great era. Jahbaz, everybody in my chat room is going crazy over your mask. They have money going. If it's animatronics, if it's a graphic.
Nah, man. You know, I was a hybrid experiment. You know what I'm saying? And Folex, he saved me from a CIA experimental laboratory. You know what I'm saying? But Mr. Fox still rocking the low. You know what I'm saying? Nobody got this. I got that government secret joint.
Look
you know
at that joint right there, yo. Woo, that polo joint is fire.
Boom, baby. You know what I'm saying? Boom.
Yo, the low Fox Low. He's gonna freaking join the low lives out here, yo. Yo, do me a favor. Let me go ahead.
See them cats.
Yo,
we came up with yo, listen, man, that the low cats, that shit was fly in New York, man. In Manhattan, we hit Century 21, shit was crazy. We see Puba rock shit I've never seen to this day. Puba had gear that I've never ever seen, and I'm like a low head. Never. Puba was just like the man.
Yo,
so that was our culture. Right?
We have a branch of the low life community out here in Miami, the Miami Low Life, man. Salute to Kingdom, D Traffic, DJ XS, all the lows out here. Yo, I'm that polo freaking jacket with the 2 tennis freaking rackets, fucking fantastic, man. You guys are dripped down. Right. Let's talk. We were just playing Soul Style from fantastic freaking track. Give me one quick second. My son was asking me if the dog needed it. He will not stop asking me. So, yo, let's talk Quantum Field Crew, brother.
Quantum Field Crew.
It is the new album that you guys have dropped. You between Sounds of the Rooftop, Quantum Field Crew, you guys have had several releases. The basement tapes, is it?
That was the last one before this. Yep.
Right, the basement tapes, the mobility, right, which is another real dope album. But on a lot of them, I find remixes of Sounds of the Summer. I mean, of Summer in the City, and I find remixes of other tracks on the albums. Are they basically remix albums, or how does mobility and the basement tapes?
Yeah. So we're talking about. Lex, are you there?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. We can hear you fine.
Okay. Bet. Okay. So
Folex.
Yeah, I'll give you. So the first album that came out was Rooftop Soundcheck, and that's the one that's on MCA. If people can find it, good luck. After '97, it got pulled, and it was no longer for sale. That's what labels used to do when you would leave a label.
Really?
Back in the day,
masters, yeah. And we got our masters back.
Oh, serious.
So we released
we own the publishing. Yep.
We re-released it as Sounds of the Rooftop, and it's the same record.
Okay.
Basically.
Okay. All this time I thought I was mispronouncing the name of the album. Like I'm so used to it.
No, it's all right. It's all right. So Sounds of the Rooftop came out after. Then there was opportunity in Japan.
Skip it. No, you skip it. You skip in
Uncharted Terrain. So we had recorded a bunch of stuff that didn't come out post MCA, because when you leave a label, they want you to continue to make records, and they give you a little bit of money, but they don't want to give you your full contract. So we would have been in a different position if they would have re-upped the contract. Okay. But they didn't. They just kept giving us demo money. So we recorded a bunch of songs that we didn't own, and basically, like, we didn't put those records out.
Okay.
Right? So there was a period of time where there's no Justice System records. And that was because we didn't own what we had. And
did they own the right to the name?
No, they don't. No, we always own that, but it was more like directionally, where are we going with all this stuff? And come around, I guess it's 2000, right, John?
Yeah.
2000, yeah. 2000, we kind of get everybody back together, and we put out the Uncharted Terrain album. And that record, that was a really cool thing. It started off as just like, hey, let's get back and just, work on some music for fun. And fun for us always turns into like, let's do something with this. And
that record, BBE Records.
I was going to say,
records. Yeah.
BBE picked up one of the songs, two of the songs for a single, released it in Germany, France, and Italy. It did well over there. The record did well over here. There was like this, is this the same Justice System kind of vibe? It was totally like self-produced. It was our first like going in the studio ourselves, mixing ourselves, doing everything ourselves. After coming out with a major, you got $100,000 record budget. Now you have, whatever you can scrap together to do on weekends.
Working from the dirt.
$3,000.
So we made it happen. And then we got an offer after that record had come out. We were like, okay, cool. We did the second record. Great. Everybody have a good weekend. We got contacted by some people in Japan, and they had really liked Summer in the City. And they had asked us if we had any remixes that were unreleased. Because what we learned about the Asian market, Japan and Korea in particular, is they love things that are not the most popular here. So if you're
never came out here,
if you're underground, like if you're an underground hip hop artist, you got a shot at being the biggest artist or a big artist in Asia, because they gravitate to what they feel is true. Right. So that's why there's still so many b-boy crews in Japan and Korea. I mean, they run breakdance and across the globe like crazy. Graffiti artists, DJ culture. So they really understand it. So they asked us for a remix. We sent them one, and then they said, do you want to do a project? But we need some unreleased material, because Japanese audience is going to look for that. So we had some records that were, pulled from here, pulled from there. Some we recorded, we hodgepodge mobilization together. But we love the record. And that happened. And then, they put out their own version of Summer in the City in Japan on a 12-inch. So there's another there's another version of that record. And then after that, it was like, okay, cool, we're good, right? Everybody was happy.
We're done making remixes of yours.
Yeah, and
it's like
we kind of
time to get married.
Yeah, we got
babies.
People were moving on with careers and families and things like that.
Gotcha.
And then one day,
the only record, but Mobilization is the only record where there's like different versions of joints that came out on other albums. Really,
gotcha.
At least,
yeah, 100%. Then what happens is, I'm on YouTube one day and I just type in Justice System Summer in the City, and I get 50 hits back. And I started looking at the numbers, and it's like 10,000. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. Then it's like 85,000. I'm like, what? Then it's like 175,000, and I'm like, this is crazy. And I start adding up the numbers, and I'm like, yo, B, we platinum, man. Like we went from Wood in the Hood to platinum online. Like we never got that many spins on radio. We never, we were on BET for like 3 months straight as the last video of the day on Rap City, but we never got that shine like what we're getting online right now. So Basement Tapes came after that. And we went back in the studio. We listened to old, and it literally came, the name was, we had all these old recordings of being in Kaz Boogie's basement.
Okay.
Right.
That's where we rehearsed. And we listened to some of them, and we were like, yeah, that's a good idea. Let's build a song off that. That's a good idea.
Oh,
dope. And we put it together. We went to studio in New York, and then we mixed the rest of it and recorded the rest of it at A2F down here in Miami. And Jahbaz recorded at Burrow Sound out in Santa Rosa, California. And I was triangulating to make all these things kind of, to be in the studio sessions with everybody. And,
and Jason Famous. And that's when Jason Famous Beats became like, and it's a
the eighth member.
Yo, salute Jason Famous Beats. I didn't know he was down with you cats.
Yeah.
Yo, but it gets crazier because he grew up near us. Like he was a big Justice System fan. Like we didn't even know him. Like you knew Folex was his older brother.
I knew his brother, yeah. And
so Jason grew up like loving our joints. And then we heard a tape. Folex got a tape of his around 2000, 2001. And it was just like GERMSWESHARE, Germs We Share joint. And the production was ill. The rhyming was ill. I was like, yo, who is this kid? And Folex is like, yo, this is his kid, Jay, the younger brother of so-and-so who grew up near us, whatever. He lives in Philly now. Yo, he loves our shit. And he was like, yo, would you listen to my record? And I was like, yo, this record's fucking dope, B. Like, tell him, like, I want to do a record with him someday. That's like 2000, 2001. Okay. Fast forward to 2017, where he gets his track. And this track was just like banging, right? I won't tell you we don't sample snitch. We don't talk. We sample, we don't talk. But like he flipped something that was like, I see what you did. Most people won't, but and it was tight. So I was like, yo, Folex, this might be the single. This could be it. So I wrote this song. I had this thing in my rhyme book from like 1992 called Bronxian Bauxite, right? Bauxite is you get aluminum from. You extract aluminum through the refinement of bauxite, right? And it's like in Africa, mostly in Central Asia also. And the idea of Bronxian bauxite is like cats who weren't from the Bronx, but were trying to extract the realness, you know what I mean? The real alloy material, whatever, that like you rely on for the foundation of a culture to build stuff, right? So it's like metaphorical. So I was like, Bronxian bauxite. I was like, yo, that should be the name of the song. And Folex was like, yeah, that's it. And I was like, all right, this is what I'm rhyming about. And Folex was like, this is what I'm gonna rhyme about. And we did it. And that was a Jason Famous track originally that Folex and the cats at A2F studio down there in Miami Beach and some of the dudes from Justice System, Kaz, we tweaked it, we flipped it, boom, boom. And that was the beginning. We were like, yo, Jay, you remember number 8 of Justice System.
Bam, bam.
And that's our whole thing, man. We expand. Like right now we're up to like 14 cats. Basically, your family, like, yo, you come out, you come chill with us. Like, and that's the way we've always been. KRS-One, Boogie Down Production Crew, BDP Crew. People don't know, but Justice System and BDP Crew used to roll. They used to come out. This dude, ICU, you hear KRS-One, BDP talk about ICU. He's down with us. Yeah. ICU was like a huge Justice System fan, and him and this cat Tree, you know what I'm saying? They did their thing. I won't tell, they did their own thing, let's say, but like we'd see them at the clubs. They were like, yo, we know who you are. We're down with you. Chris was like always super cool with us. I made sure we got home safe when I was drunk one night, all kinds of shit. And, but like those cats were like, yeah, like, yo, you're down with us. So we learned from the Zulus, Zulu Nation up in, Bronx River. We learned from cats like ICU and Tree. It's like, yo, if you down with us, you down. Like we got your back. That's it. We're, done.
On the Basement tapes, the one joint I played was the Beads joint, man, and I loved it because it gives me like a 60s soul freaking vibe, man. And Folex, can you let the people at home see the Beads, man? Because
sure. So this is the original Justice System medallion made by the medallion master Cormac and the bead master Jamal Ski. They're the original bead masters from New York City. I have been blessed to have a bunch of pieces made by them, but they inspired me so much that I had to call these guys and say, like, I need to do this. So we
look at the Fox one, yo, that is fire.
Yo. So this one right here is like 30 years old.
That shit looks like it weighs a ton, brother. Like,
this is 30 years old. And then, here's the Sam Jones one right here. This is made by myself. I made the one for Jahbaz, for Mr. Fox. But it's like, the beads are like the currency, right? Like that's like the justice system currency. It really comes down to, there was a period of time like cats weren't rocking as much gold in New York anymore. And yeah, right? Like during that time. Exactly. What's that? What's that? SOBs?
That's this at the Grand, B.
The Grand. We played the Grand.
Academy, Ohio players. Boom.
Yeah.
Played that
so like
show.
We would go out and there'd be dudes selling beads, literally selling beads at these hip hop shows, and that's how we got into it. But yeah, man, Jahbaz's kids are singing the chorus on beads.
Word? Oh,
Next generation, Justice System members 15, 16,
and it grows on and on, man. So we wanted to talk quantum field crew guys, as you've mentioned, are still part of the bigger collective, but the group keeps growing, evolving. One of the new forms that it's taken is QFC. Could you tell the people at home what Quantum Field Crew is, how you came up with that name? I think the story behind that is real interesting. We'll dive a little bit down.
Fox, you want to take that?
Yeah. All right. In short, quantum field clearing is a practice. After my pops passed away in November 2017. He and I were real tight. He was a hippie radical in New York. You know what I'm saying? He was like, he jumping on cop cars in Tompkins Square Park in the late 60s, early 70s, whatever. Anyway, real influence. And he told me I should drop out of college. He was, we had an offer in 91. We were like taking limos to go see Dante Ross and all these other, people who like loved our shit. But like, we did album number 3 or album number 4 that we put out in the next 2 years. And we're like, nah, we'll just wait, whatever. But Pops was always like, yo, huge fan, him and my godfather, Uncle Carl Evans. And they would come out to our shows. They were like so into it. So he passed. It was really hard for me. And a friend of mine hit me to this woman who, without getting too crazy out there, let's just say that she's got a certain gift and can help me clear up some stuff in this quantum field, basically where time and space collapse. You go back to these things, boom, boom, boom. You clear these energy things that were going on. And it helped, like, yo, it changed my life, man, because I was really upset. It was like, yo, the sun is shining again. Fucking Mr. Fox, this is dope. So that and then Folex, he and I, we just like, he would come out to California, get a little break from the East Coast. He's like, yo, Jahbaz, is like, where you live, you can talk about things like this and think about things like this. And I got like a crazy vinyl collection. I got like my turntables, my whole setup here, my studio here. Folex come to the studio with me out here, some dope studios also. So it's like, yo, what are we gonna do? And Folex and I, we've always been the most travelingest justice system cats, right? Like we were like, yo, where are we going? Oh yeah, okay, cool. We're going to South Carolina this weekend? Okay, cool, bet, right? And so that was the other thing, is like we travel, we connect with people across time and space, where time and space doesn't really matter. We'll be there. Yo, you want us to be up in Alaska, Kahim? We'll be there. You know what I mean? You want us to be in, Rhino and Fred Ones, they want us to come out, to the, South Bronx for the show. We'll be there, like whatever, right? That's just who we are. So that's Quantum Field Crew, both background to it, and it's also just like, yo, can we transcend this other stuff that she taught me about, right? So the whole thing like that, you got animals, right? Other animals like foxes. You got humans, which are like half animal and half spirit. Then you got the spirit, right? And it's like the evolution, right? From the animal place, the lower side of a human and conscious, or the lower side of consciousness, to the human, which is like a hybrid, half animal and half spirit. And then you get to transcend to the spirit and positivity, right? So that's this whole record starts real low. You know what I mean? Like it's ill. Call it my cousins, like gunshots, bomb, 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 you know, screaming, riots. Folex is talking about, you know, riots and shit getting crazy down in Miami.
Yeah,
shit popping off.
He paints a beautiful picture of Miami. Every song, freaking Folex, that you mentioned Miami, and you make us look freaking like gems. Yo, like I'll show you where the fucking I'll show you how the city was made with the drunk money.
Yeah, that's
I was on Ocean. I was on Ocean. It was mad commotion, right? Yes. So then you listen to our album. So in short, the album then goes like, oh, it's a little more positive. Okay, it's a little more like, okay, I can vibe, and it ends on really positive, sweet note, whatever. So, and it, you know, so it's an arc, and it's just different sounds and styles of hip hop and other music, whatever. So,
I love it. I love it. In Call Up My Cousin, the Doom sample is fantastic. God rest his soul, and I hope that he's trolling us all and enjoying that everybody's loving freaking all his music. Go ahead, don't worry. We will look away so that we don't see you. Oh, look at that, baby! All caps. Fucking remember when you spell the name, baby. Let's go. Long live the fucking troll villain, man.
Bomb.
Yo, in it, you guys introduce us to, and I'm sure on the past albums you guys mentioned the characters also, but it was my first time, if I'll be honest, taking in a whole Justice System album when you guys allowed me to do the write up on the album. Yo, sitting on the album that whole weekend, I loved it because it's full of our family and stuff. The first time I ever met Folex was at a Cypher in the Circle event out in Broward, right? And on the album, we got Breeze Ever Flowing and Tetris, both representing freaking hip hop and South Florida. The fullest, man. Breeze is a freaking neighbor of ours now. Tetris is fucking rookie of the year out here, man, putting on mad work. And the fact that you repped our SoFlo scene so hard on the album. Could you tell us a little bit about the what is it called? Crystal Clear with Breeze Ever Flowing?
Yeah, so Breeze and I, like, this is a funny story, and I'll make it palatable, so we don't have to do the razzle dazzle, right? But here's what it is. In the 90s, we were in that downtown scene, and Breeze was also coming up in a downtown scene with the kids that were the battle rhymers, right? And they were crazy. Like every one of them would just chop your head off and make you stop rapping that moment, right? And if you've seen the Breeze videos from the World Championships, and when he battled Capadonna, and when he took out every kid that was on MTV. And Breeze also, he doesn't talk about it, but he was on a radio show with Grandmaster Melly Mel and the Furious Five, right? And Melly Mel was the host, and they used to do live freestyle. So you would call in and you would freestyle, and Breeze was one of the cats in the studio with Melly Mel who would battle you back live on the air. No curses. Don't. Right? And he would kill it. And he also crossed into the jazz hip hop, playing with like groups like Soul Live and doing all these different things. So it was a name I knew, but not a person. And obviously he had heard of Justice System. We wound up working together for Apple for a few years. Okay. That's where we met, and we didn't know who each other was. And it turned out like we started talking about hip hop, and boom, before you know it, Breeze and I are in the studio at A2F, and we recorded like 5 or 6 joints that never came out, but we did it. And he put together an album, had me on it. We did Basement Tapes. That was our first introduction to Breeze as a family member of Justice System. Okay. And he's on the song Evolution. When we got to Basement Tapes, when we got to QFC, he had put out a record the year before, and Iceman is my favorite X-Men. right? Like I was an X-Men fan growing up. Power Man and Iron Fist were my number 2 crew, but those original X-Men, that was my shit. And when he said the line crystal clear like Bobby Drake in his Ice State, I told Jahbaz, I said, I'm taking that. And I called Breeze and said, yo, I'm taking it, but you're getting a writing credit on the record. And we built a song around that. And you know, when you see the artwork, you'll know who did that too, because he put that together for us.
He's nasty with the art, man.
So that's kind of Breeze. And Tetris, look, Tetris was one of those cats. I used to see it every Cypher, and he would just show up with his like retro Miami gear, right? or his Marlins gear. And he would just spit. And he spit with so much confidence. And I really enjoyed that because I was like, you know, first of all, getting into Cypher is hard for anybody who's never done it. And when you do it, it's still not the easiest thing, right? And if you're going off top, like really freestyling, it's you know, there's nothing easy about it, right? And it's years of practice to be great at it. And we just happen to have 2 of the guys who are down in South Florida or, you know, who pass through here that do it really well. And we asked them to be on the records and it was no brainers. You know, they were like, absolutely. So working with Tetris, it was great to have him in the studio. He did his thing. I recorded a couple other tracks for him the same night. He already put those out. And
he speaks very highly of you, man, and that you give great knowledge to him and just impart a lot of wisdom to him. And when he told me he was working with you, I was like, brother, couldn't choose to work with somebody better, man, because Folex is a trained veteran in the trenches of this game, man. And that's what we, and any budding MC, any budding artist needs to bow the knee and be discipled, man, freaking, and grow up. So until you could freaking you could outdo the master and stuff. And that's what any in this school, if we lived by those rules that our generation came up on, we were big in that, right? Getting raised by your block, and yeah, you could step up, but make sure you were ready for it, or else you were gonna get served, man. And
that's right. That's right.
Kids got slapped in the freaking street, and you grew up with respect. Nowadays, that's why there's that disconnect where the younger generation feels like, no, I don't have to listen to the older generation. But that's something I like about Ted, man. That is he's a young cat who's like, yo, teach me. I want to learn. I want.
He's definitely a student of the game, which is great. And you know, we were brought up the same way. You know, like we had the Zulu Kings around us. We were lucky. We were, you know, 18, 19 years old and being raised by these dudes who invented this stuff. Like that it helps a lot. It helps a lot.
Wow.
So
you have a cut on the album called Decapitated Statues. Can you please break down the science? Because that's when I heard that junk, I'm here like, now I see the Roots and PE Public Enemy reference. Can you, because that shit is just, there are some songs on it that are just soaked with the time that they were made in, right? That the years of Corona and everything that's going on in the media and with society in United States during that time. Break down. First, we'll go into Decapitated Statues, and we'll hit up a couple.
All right.
You want it, Fox, or you want?
Yeah. Should I go? Should I just drop it?
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, man. So coming off of Basement Tapes, Folex and I, he was coming out to Cali a lot. We were building. We did some shows out here, and then I came to Miami. We did a show at A2F, right, with Sophisticated Savage. Right, Rhino and MC Whiteout and my man Yazid, right, and we had a ton of fun. That was like January 2020. Next month, COVID, boom. Next month, lockdown. Okay, so I couldn't go to Miami or New York. Folex couldn't come out here. So we just start working from home every day, do music every day. We're like trying to trying to like connect with the other cat, like, yo, check out this beat I flipped, check out this beat I programmed, check out this keyboard to this chords I'm coming up with, like down, right? So we was doing our thing. Folex, we did Grand Imperial, I think in 2020, right? That came out.
Yeah.
So yeah, a bunch of dope songs that got played all around the world. Grand Imperial was
Grand
one.
Imperial you sent me. Yeah, man, we played the Grand Imperial joint.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that record's one of my favorite all time from Justice. And you know, so we kept making singles or like just joints, right? Just join and do whatever. But then the political stuff was getting real crazy. And you know, it's like the thing with politics, I got a real love-hate thing with it, man. I don't like to talk about it too much because I get really, you know, angry. You know, I'm not as chill as I want to be, you know, but that devil mentality of Donald J. asshole Trump, you know what I mean? Like Tom and I, Folex and I, we were not having it. We're like, yo, nah, fuck this, excuse my friends, but you know, later for all this like institutional structural racism that our parents told us about, our family friends told us about, like, yo, this can't happen. This is not the way it's supposed to be. We need to love each other, be each other's brother. We are connected. We are one. We are one people. Like, we need to look out for each other. This whole divide and conquer, divisive strategy. You know, you're black, you're white, you're Latino, you're not like yo, chill with that, son. Like yo, like we're heads, we're people, we're human beings. Like we connect. Like first, for Lex and I, we were taught in justice system, our whole ethos is like, yo, we are connected first. You know, don't bring in this division later shit. You know what I mean? Like we're connected first, right? If I see some funny stuff in you, though, like, okay, I'm not gonna connect with you. You do your own thing, right? But it got to the point you couldn't just stand by with the murder of Ahmaud Arbery, you know, all the police brutality that was happening, the politics, the environment. So Decapitated Statues goes back to the political stuff that started justice system. When you think of our name, justice system, right? It was inspired by Public Enemy. You know, like a 2-word name, powerful, you know, political kind of overtones. You know what I mean? That's where we've always been. But, you know, MCA was basically like, yeah, you know, it's better when you just spit rhymes and, you know, tell stories. We're like, all right. But this is who Folex and I, you know, these are our values. So we got inspired to do that and then studying, you know, other stuff, whatever. But that was the first song that we recorded. And Jason Famous Beats did that beat too. Okay. And we we're like, yo, this is kind of ill. And that's what kicked off the album, basically.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was the first one. That was the first song that we started with, and everything flowed from that record.
Oh shit, that's dope. Okay, I didn't think that. I never heard that as the one that would have set you guys off. But I see where it's okay, man. Where we have something to say, and we need to use our platform to say it on this. Another one where you guys break down mad science, man. Jahbaz's verse, is it Jahbaz or you that talk about the Catholic Church, and next time don't bring them to the clubhouse or whatever. Yo, on Mr. Bars of Death. Oh
yeah,
fantastic fucking track, man. And I've been dying to ask you guys this since the fucking beginning of the interview, man. Please break down Mr. Fox and Mr. Jones. And why the fuck would you guys do that when his name is Folex? Why not make him the Fox? And why not make Jahbaz Jones? You guys messed me up so bad with that.
How about that?
All right. Well, Folex, I'm gonna let him in on some stuff we haven't talked about that we tell people. I'm gonna let him in.
Okay.
All right. So first of all, like we're about love, respect, and loyalty. You know what I'm saying? We can make records with all kinds of cats. We have opportunities to make all, but like we did remixes back in the day with Diamond and with Psycho Les of the Beat Nuts, right? Because that's who we wanted to do. Primo wasn't available when we wanted it. He would have, but we got Diamond. We got Psycho Les. Like that's dope for us because that's who we look up to as producers who inspire us, right? Boom. When we do a record, Jason Famous Beats, you know, Breeze Ever Flowing, Tetris, like those are our boys. Like you got to have a connection to it, right? Boom, boom, boom. Okay. So I'm gonna mess up your question. So, but anyway, justice system, we're so respectful that it's like, okay, can we call a record that Folex and me and Jason Famous Beats are like pioneering at this point? Can we call it a justice system record? We're like, maybe not. Maybe we call it Quantum Field Crew because that idea of connectedness, and standing up and connecting with our higher spiritual self and calling out the foul stuff, right? And it was like a little maybe too political for the rest of the crew. But if they didn't want us to use the name Justice System, because it was going to be real hard in COVID to make an album with all the cats, right?
Gotcha.
All 20 of us now, whatever it is. So that was kind of the vibe. It's like, listen, if it's not going to be Justice System, then maybe we'll call Quantum Field Crew, or maybe it'll be Justice System. Maybe this will be like our Sgt. Pepper's album. We didn't go into it thinking about it like that, but going back, like we could get away. I'm not Jahbaz on this record. I'm more like Mr. Fox, that animal hybrid thing, showing the ill side where I'm like an animal, you know what I'm saying, doing some fucked up shit, rhyming some, and then trying to transcend to a higher place. And then Folex, Sam Jones, tell him about that. That is crazy, V.
Please.
So Sam Jones, so moving down here from New York, right? I go back to like, who are the original people of this land? Okay, so the Seminole Indians, the Creek Indians, right? They were here first, right? So I have a big affinity for Native peoples in this country, and I do a lot of studying and a lot of reading about who was here, where they were, what were the places. So there's a verse in another song, and I say I moved from Lenape, which is the New York area,
okay, to
Seminole, right, which is this area, right? It was called the Seminole area. So Sam Jones, a lot of people know who Chief Osceola is, right? Chief Osceola was a Seminole who was one of the chiefs during the Indian Wars against Andrew Jackson, okay? And he was captured and eventually killed by the United States, but never surrendered, right? That's why the Florida State Seminoles are called
Chief Osceola is the
mascot.
The mascot for Florida
right?
State. Gotcha.
And they called the unconquered people because they're the only tribe in the United States to never surrender or sign a peace treaty until the 1950s with the United States government. Okay. Now there was a guy, it was Sam Jones. That was his white name, right? And he was the information man, and he looked kind of white, so he could go between the Indian nations and the U.S. soldiers and find out information of what was happening during this time.
He was the indigenous spy.
Yeah. So his real name is Abiaki, and he was known as Sam Jones to outsiders. So I was like, listen, when I say Sam Jones, I'm the information man. It's about like taking that. Like I can play in this field, right? I can play with Ron DeSantis and talk to him and Marco Rubio, and I can get down with Billy Corbin and we can go infiltrate, on the Miami Commission, right? But I can also keep it in the streets and get the word to my people to make sure that they have the knowledge that they need to go and do what they need to do, right? How do we action that? So that's what the Sam Jones character is. But the fact that you came up with, I'm Jones and he's Jahbaz and he's Fox and I'm Folex, I never even thought about
lying.
that.
Yo, when I was writing it, I'm here like, Folex must be Fox, Jahbaz must be Jones. And then I was hearing them, they're like, no, but that's Folex's voice. I know Folex's voice was talking about Miami, but he says he's Sam Jones. And I'm like, damn it, did they fuck me up like that? And all the time, I heard Sam Jones, the information man. So I thought you were like Samuel Jones, like a Cuban Alex Jones. All this time, by the way, Folex, all this time, I thought you were Cuban, bro. All this time, I swear to God, I've been thinking you're mad Cuban. But that's what I thought. I thought it was like Alex Jones, like InfoWars type stuff, freaking dropping the knowledge on people. So I love the story behind your names. I especially love the fact that the homie Jahbaz says that he's a freaking a genetically engineered fox that you liberated from the freaking from the government laboratories, man. And now you guys are out here fucking spreading the quantum field clearance freaking gospel, yo. My favorite
the Catholic Church thing, that Catholic Church thing you mentioned.
Please,
Folex and I, we had so many commonalities. It's like we've been friends for like since we were real young. We've grown up together. We've done all around the country, North America. Like but to this day, I find out new things about him that I was like, yo, me too, right? And so we were both raised Catholic, right? And we both had relatives, you know what I mean, like great aunts or cousins or whatever who like nuns or whatever, right? But when we both studied spirituality, you know what I mean? I studied Islam. You know, I really studied it in my early 20s, and I used to go to the mosque and pray. I fasted in Ramadan. You know what I mean? Like, but I was trying to figure like, is this what connects with me? You know, I studied a lot of different religions, spirituality, the Kabbalah, you know, all kinds of stuff. Folex too, independent of whatever, independent of college, independent of family, whatever. But we both at a certain point came away looking at the Catholic Church like, yo, and churches in general, where it's more about like the priest or the head of this church, you know, that personality and the idea of paying, giving money to like, you know, giving my money to this multi-millionaire who's the head of a church, like that's not a relationship with God or my spiritual thing. So that's, you know, that was the thing, you know, not to mention all the other foul stuff that came out that, you know, the Catholic Church is sort of like, you know, the other stuff that shouldn't have been touchy stuff, you know, that got swept under the rug all those years. So for Alex and I, some things are wrong. We wanted to call out that wrongness and injustice, but I have to admit, I got a little visceral with my, you know, put his fingers in the blender, you know, like a Bloody Mary, right? Like that's the last time he'll send the priest to the center. Like it's like we're not having like yo, my kids don't go to Catholic church. When we go to church, we go to the Church of St. John Coltrane in San Francisco. That's straight up, okay? But my kids know, like, yo, if someone touches you, you get an axe and you just beat the crap out of them. You do what you got to do. Like, we're not having that touchy stuff. No. Oh. Okay, no unconsented touching. And for a man of the cloth or a person of the cloth to be doing that, now that's the lowest of the low. They got to get there.
Somebody who you trust and stuff. Yo, I'm glad that the story turned out the way it did, because at first when you were there, like, yo, me and Folex share so many commonalities, so many things in common. Yo, we were both molested when we were kids at the church. I thought it was gonna go that way. I was like, no.
You know what was crazy is like, you know, a lot of the like when you break it all.
I was gonna bring up, and I definitely want make sure that Jahbaz has the link too, man. I want him to get in here.
Yeah, I'll send him this right now.
Because him and me talked a little bit about it. My favorite cut on the album is what is it? Gonna let them know, or freaking damn, I always
they already know.
They already know. Oh man, that fucking that bass line to me is fucking crack, yo. It's one of those bass lines like the beginning of Low End Theory, right?
Yeah.
Right. Just a classic bassline riff that's like, yo, where did they find that at? And then Jahbaz was breaking down. He's like, oh, you'll never guess where we got that sample from. That's a gospel, a freaking hidden track, just like in the cut, and the drums are in there and everything. I'm like, get it, yo, disgusting break. And the way that you guys blended the Jada Kiss sample in there just made it just right now. If Jada Kiss was an MVP of 2021 for hip hop,
yeah,
I don't know who took that.
Right? No doubt. So, he definitely he was definitely holding the crown, man. Yo, especially after that versus.
That versus, he became my new hip hop superhero. Yo, I mean, like, yo, I want to be Jada Kiss when I grow up.
No doubt.
Yo, just fucking savagery, showing how an MC does it, and using his voice sample just added that freaking touch of just griminess. Can you tell us a little bit about the creation of that beat, and who took care of the majority of the production on the album? Was it you and Jahbaz mostly back and forth?
So yeah, it was kind of like so Jason Famous did 3 tracks. He did Decapitated Statues. He did 3. Yeah, Jay did 3 tracks. He did Mr. Bars of Death, and he did one more. Let me look. I've you know, we're putting together so much music these days. Jahbaz and I, we have a lot of things coming with the band, with everybody, and it's hard to keep track of sometimes. But let me just I need to see the titles. I should know this. Let's see. See.
How did the rest of the band go ahead. What was the track?
Yeah, so Jay is Mr. Bars of Death, Decapitated Statues. I think maybe that's those two. Maybe it's those two. Yeah. So Jason did those two. They already know Jahbaz produced that. He came up, pulled the samples, and then I'm just telling him, click the link
that guy sent you. The guy talks forever. I had questions.
So he kind of put it together, and then I'm the guy that kind of mixes most of the record. So like I fattened it up a little bit. I EQ'd it. I stacked some stuff on there, and just just basically put most of these tracks together, like the final touch of anything that I didn't produce. So everybody does their part, and then they send me all the stems, and then I go, okay, all right, now I got to get it all together, right?
You work the magic at it. The ride of it, the bass line and everything reminds me of Miami hip hop classic, Home Team. Pick it up.
Oh yeah! Wow, that's crazy.
Yo, every time I hear it, I hear the pick it up sample in the back of my head. Fantastic joint, man. I love the whole album, man. It is a great album. For all my people out there listening and watching on YouTube, you definitely have to go and check out Justice System's YouTube channel, right? What's the easiest way to find you on YouTube, man? Because when I just type in Justice System, that'll take me to a freaking 500 million court freaking videos. I usually have, and if I type in Justice System Quantum Field Crew, that takes me to some meditating videos and stuff. But you have your channel where you guys just recently uploaded the Beyond the Threshold album, right?
So if you go to youtube.com/Justice System, that'll get you to where you got to go.
Okay, all with a space between Justice and System, or
no, just all one word.
All one word. Justice System complete. And yeah, I was seeing, and I thought the Threshold album was a newer album because I saw that you guys just recently uploaded it to you.
Yeah, YouTube's done a lot of things where we've had stuff all over the place, and finally, we have to fight like every other artist for what's yours, and YouTube has not been the most friendliest or the easiest to work with. So there was stuff on all kinds of pages. Our albums weren't showing up where they were supposed to. We work with CD Baby to distribute all of our stuff, and they were aggregating different things on different pages. And finally, YouTube has come around and put everything in one spot, so you can get everything. You can get our whole discography on there as well. And we have like 3 or 4 videos that are going to be coming out, all good, low budget, dirty iMovie filtered, shot on an iPhone kind of videos, and they'll be out pretty soon. So we have Mr. Bars of Death we just finished putting together. That'll be out. Then we have Crystal Clear coming up. We got a video for Corvette that we did, and maybe a couple more.
And what you were alluding to, what you guys are cooking up, what can we expect next? And before I get into that, how did the rest of the band feel? Guys showed them Quantum Field Crew. Was it well received with them, or were they like, "Oh, how dare you use the Justice System"?
No, at first, like Jahbaz said, like we definitely kind of said, like, look, if you guys don't want us to use the name, we won't. I sat down with everybody on one of my trips to New York, and they were like, nah, man, like you guys are Justice System, and if you feel it's the right thing, like for the brand, then put it out. Like, that's cool. And, Cos Boogie played bass on a couple tracks. I use Eric's drum samples on almost every beat that I make. You know, the guys heard the records, you know, as we were mixing them for feedback and stuff like that. So they're as much a part of it as any one of us. And I think that goes to like the connectedness of the group and kind of that spiritual side that Jahbaz talks about. Like we're all connected, you know, we all grew up together. We're all friends. We started making music because we liked it. You know, it turned into a business for a while. And now it's still back to one of those things where it's like, we're just going to keep doing it until it doesn't feel good anymore. People don't want it. But until then, you know, we'll put out a couple records every year and see what happens, you know.
We'll play it, man. We'll play it over here at WVCC. We are fans. You have won us over and you have won our audience over. What are you guys planning on dropping next other than the videos?
Yeah, so after the videos, maybe one or two more singles off of this album. I mean, it feels like what we thought the singles were and then what the audience is telling us based on Spotify numbers and iTunes numbers, like they couldn't be more different, you know? So it's like, we're going to see if we can maybe remix some stuff or get some guests on some things just to flip it up. Like you had Cut Supreme on a couple weeks ago. I was listening to that interview, and that same night we had done an interview with him.
Yes, sir.
Earlier in the night, and Cut is playing like he's literally playing Move Your Molecules like on in the middle of his show, and we're like, this is insane, you know, like this is crazy. So the fact that like he'll play that, and then the guys at Gorilla Grooves, they started playing Decapitated Statues. We didn't even ask.
Do any. So you know, it wasn't a single that you guys were shopping around. I've seen Decapitated Statues on a couple of playlists.
Yeah. So like the only single that we actually released so far was Mr. Bars of Death. It came out before the album, and the next up was Crystal Clear. And we felt like, you know, to give our boom bap fans that, you know, that next piece of like just driving in your car and rattling your trunk a little bit and giving you that hard crack snare, you know, with a legend like Breeze on the hook, that would be, you know, it makes sense, right?
Word.
But the audience is dictating other things. But we're going to release Crystal Clear as a single. I might do a remix to it to flip it.
Okay.
And then after that, we've got a bunch of stuff. We've got 2 or 3 albums worth of material that is either in mid production or ready to mix. And Jahbaz and I have been talking about that. We bring a lot of the members back from the band, like, because as we were finishing this, we just started sending ideas out to everybody, and everybody kept sending back like amazing stuff. I think part of it is during the pandemic, we were all creating.
We learned how to create more at home, right? And in our home studios, and not be limited by having to travel to the studio and put in work in the studio. And a lot of musicians learn how to transition to that too, man. So that must be exciting. Now you guys are being able to build on that level.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you know, for us, it's kind of getting back to that, and you know, we got the other part of this is field testing, like where are the records hitting, where can we go and perform, right? Can we bring if we're in New York, obviously we're going to have the whole band out. We'll do something down here in Miami, and we'll talk about that and try to figure out a spot. And maybe if even just 1 or 2 of the band members come, like just having that live element would be awesome.
Miami loves that down here, man. I mean, that's how people get paid perform down here. You have to have a band.
Yeah.
And definitely the venues are for it down here. I would love to be involved anytime you guys want to come down here, please. I'll put my legs to work for you guys. Yeah,
no, we'll definitely make it happen. And then, you know, after this, it next year is definitely Asia. Like it's funny, like I'm famous in Japan, right? Like people say like I'm famous in Canada. Like
flex.
Nobody knows me here, right? But no, in all honesty, like we do really well over there. We've had a huge fan base ever since '94. and we never got to go over there. We've been talking to some people, and Japan's COVID restrictions are way tougher than here, and like people don't, the news doesn't tell you what's going on, but like half of China is shut down again. They shut down Shanghai and locked down the city. It's 24 million people. Factories closed. Like you can't get a part for your car because there are none, right?
Wow.
Like, so Japan is very weary because in Asia, period, like a lot of business between countries. So they're not letting anybody in that's not Japanese. And if you get there and you are Japanese, you have to quarantine in a hotel at the airport for 28 days.
They're not doing none of this. 5 days is good enough now.
Nah, and this whole like don't wear your mask on a plane thing. Like I'm going to New York tomorrow. I'll be double masking on a plane. And if somebody says something to me, like, I'll just tell you to mind your business, or you can get japped up. Like either way. Like,
bro, just show them the freaking beads, dog. If you show them the beads, they're like, okay, I don't want to fuck with you.
But the reality is, like, we definitely want to go to Japan. We definitely want to do some shows. This summer into the fall, and we got more music to put out. We're just excited about, the love of some older cats. Like we're older cats, man. We're the whole band. I'm the youngest guy. I'm 49.
Holy shit, for real?
Yeah. So
yo, fucking Mr. Fox looks like a young fox, man.
Yeah, Fox got a couple on me, but it's like it's great to be out here. Miami is definitely keeping me young. I'm out at like you find me at Tuesday nights at 1-800-Lucky with DJ Tillery James and Jerobi, and you never know who's passing through there, right? Like it's always a good spot, and the shows that you're putting on, right? Like I try to get out as much as I can. We have a studio, A2F Studios, a lot of stuff happening there, but it's a great time to be in this city, because I think it's what the city needs. And I was on a phone call today with a guy who said, yo, do you want to put some stuff together and talk about blah, 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 blah. And I was like, I have 3 people I need to bring into this conversation. You're one of those people. It's like, there's a lot of us doing this like on our own tangent. And if we come together, like maybe Miami becomes a real mecca of hip hop, especially the hip hop that we love, right?
We love it.
There's so many good artists.
And they're dying to come down here. It's just, we got to make it freaking make sense, man.
It's got to make sense. Miami's the end of the earth, And even the biggest acts, they stop in Tampa and they don't come down here. They stop in Orlando.
The freaking Nas and Wu-Tang show is making it as far as Tampa. Then.
Right. Rakim is doing an event tomorrow in Orlando. Right? Like not going to be down here. Last time he was down here, it was
about 2-3 years ago when Heron brought him down. Right?
Yeah.
Right before COVID.
Yeah. So it's like, you want those guys to come down here. You want Griselda to come down here. You want, Dave East, and you want these guys who are doing what we're doing, but they're doing it on that major label level again, right? So it's like, but it's got to make sense. So we can definitely figure that out, right? There's enough money in the city. 42 million clams. I talk about it. That's a house that's right across the bay here. $42 million. If they got $42 million to buy a house, they can put up some cheddar to get some of these artists down here, pay people what they deserve, and
sure.
and make those parties right.
Definitely.
Go knock on Diddy's door.
Yo, I'm here for it, brother. Any business you want to talk, I'm here to like I said, lend my freaking my gab, my time, my effort, man. I'm here to work with you, Folex, and I believe in what you guys do. Anything you guys release, my email. You could always send it to us, brother. And whenever the boys want to come down here, I want to be involved in making sure that they fucking have a good.
No, thank you. We appreciate that a lot,
Folex. We've had a freaking wonderful conversation, man. I wish freaking Mr. Fox could come back in so we could have said about Jahbaz and stuff. I know he's probably freaking hopping over to our people's Cut Supreme show. I don't know if Cut Supreme runs a show tonight, but Jahbaz is always up on his show too, man. Jahbaz is a really dope dude and a hip hop lover, man. I could tell through and through that my man is just a real hip hop head, man. It's been an honor to have you on the show, brother.
Thank you so much.
Can you do me a big favor, man?
Absolutely.
Before we go, can you give us a drop so that we can replay later on, man? It's as easy as just letting them know who you are. Let them know you rock with WVCC Radio, Cypher Live.
Yeah, I got you. All right. Yo, what's up? This is Folex from Justice System, and you rocking with my man on WVCC Radio, Cypher Live.
Bo, bo, bo. Yo, Folex, man, thank you so very much for taking all this time with me, bro.
Hey, thank you so much, man. We really appreciate it, and we'll talk this week. We'll get up and get some things going. All right.
Hit me in the DM. A2F Studios, is it?
A2F Studios in Woodwood. Yeah, you guys can check that out. It's at A as in Apple, the number 2, F as in Frank Studios. That's our studio down here.
Okay. And you work engineering out of there? That's
I kind of run a management company with a couple of the guys from there.
Okay.
We do everything, but it's a commercial recording studio.
Right.
My boy Will DeTelma is the proprietor over there. You know, it's a local owned, black owned studio. Like, people need studio time. We've got everything that you need. We have full. We got a Need VR room. We have an Icon room. We're building an SSL room right now. So like everything, you know, whatever you can think of, it's in that studio already.
Bam, bam. A2F Studios. Get at my man Folex. Follow Justice System everywhere. Folex, thank you so very much, brother.
All right, bro. Talk to you. Peace.
I'm going to hit you up, brother. You good.
Yep.
WVCC Cypher Life Radio.